Greetings, sports fans. This is George with Custom Tied Flies and Guide Service. And I was talking to a buddy of mine earlier today, and he was having some fits with Peacock Herl. So I told him I would do a little tutorial on Peacock Herl, especially my push method. Traditionally, Peacock Herl is used as a lot of stuff, mostly bodies, and if you're using it for a body wrap, depending on how thick you want the body to be, you might use 1 or 2 or 3 actual herls. So let's talk about the herls. These are strung Peacock Herl. Okay, you get them from Hairline, or you get them from Nature Spirit, or you get them from Rump, or wherever you get them. You can also get them on a stem.
Or open it down instead of saying you need to knock the off. See what you
So they come with an eye a lot of times. I got fortunate here a couple of years ago. A buddy of mine had a farm, and he had a peacock that succumbed to the weather.
Right.
So he called me up, "Hey, George, do you want a peacock?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, Greg, I'll take a peacock." So he told me where it was, and I went and got it. And then I brought it home, and, of course, I plucked off all the stuff I was going to pluck off of it, and that was the end of the peacock. So when you're selecting, if you notice, I'm going to have to back up a little bit. See, the actual herls themselves, they have different lengths to them. Okay, so you want to get one that has got a fairly uniform little fronds sticking out of it. Okay, and if you're just going to use one, I like to sniff off this little part here, because I'm not going to use that right now, and I'll tie it in the length of the body that I'm going to cover. I'll bring it back up. All right, and then let me just throw a half hitch in on there, and I'm going to swing my bobbin cradle around. Now here comes the push method. Okay, so I'm holding this up, and I'm just going to push this around and pull it back up. And I'm going to push it back around and pull it back up. And push it over and push it over again. You see, I'm not really putting a lot of pressure on the stem. I'm not pulling on it. I'm not twisting on it. I'm just pushing it around the shank of the hook. And so on and so forth until it's all the way up to where I want it. Now, if I'm going to do 2 at a time, I might use fine denier thread and do them on a dubbing loop. I definitely will do that with 3 or more. But if I just have 2, again, I trim that part off. Use a couple of pinch wraps to get it in there. Okay. And then I wet my fingers. I wet the fronds, and then I kind of give them a spin with my fingers, and then back to the push method. And I'm keeping them as tight as I can. Trying to keep them married together. And you see how that makes a nice body. And there's my dog going nuts. Evidently, my neighbor decided to go out, and now Grace is unhappy. She does that. Okay. So now, if I'm doing 3 or more, again, I trim those off. And again, the length of the body that I'm going to cover. Now I'm going to use a dubbing loop. So I want an extra long dubbing loop. That one's too short to really do anything with. So I got my extra long dubbing loop. I'm going to bring that forward. And then I'm going to use something to hold that dubbing loop open for now. So I was just using a dubbing spinner. But you can use a hook or whatever else you need to use to hold that open just to get it out of the way. Now, this is why it was so important to hold that open, because I'm going to hold it open with my fingers, and I'm going to take my fibers or my fronds, and I'm going to wrap it in between, just kind of weave it into the dubbing loop, or into the thread loop, rather. All right. Then I'm going to get on it with a pair of hackle pliers, and I'm going to turn it to the right. You see how it's becoming one. And you just keep turning it to the right. Now you turn it to the right, not to the left, for a reason. I'm going to show you why. If you turn it to the left, it'll come undone as you're wrapping it. So just wrap it forward. And here, we'll do something a little unorthodox. I'll put a great big purple dry fly hackle on there for you. Well, that's not something you want to have happen every day. And I'll put me a little whip finish on here. Just kind of pull those hackle fibers back out of the way. No tail, no rib. It's just a bench fly. I'll take it out in the pond tomorrow and catch a bluegill with it. Little dot of head cement on there to make sure everything stays okay. And there you have it. That's how you use the push method for the Peacock Herl and the loop method for the Peacock Herl. And then I threw in a little extra on wrapping dry fly hackle. So, thank you for your attention here. Again, this is George with Custom Tied Flies and Guide Service. If this was helpful for you, please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can find this and other tutorials on www.custom-tied.com. That's custom-tied.com. Have a splash. Don't forget the dash. You can also find my custom tied virtual fly shop by searching Custom Tire 02. Thank you and have a phenomenal day. Happy tying.